Hello, and welcome back to the BYU Bridge training tutorial for administrators and relationship managers. In today's training session, we will address how to set up a counseling schedule, add counseling notes to a student profile, use the mock interview module, and how to review resumes and provide feedback to students. Let's get started. First, let's talk about setting up your counseling schedule. Setting up a counseling schedule will help students to know your calendar availability for scheduling appointments. You can set up your availability and student criteria ahead of time to regulate scheduled appointments. You can do this by clicking on the Counseling tab from the left-hand side of the screen. Under the Counseling tab, you will see current and archived appointments, your counseling availability, the waiting room, and all students with schedules. Click on the Counseling Availability tab at the top. You will want to schedule your weekly availability under the Counseling Availability tab. Under Active Schedules, click Add New. The new weekly schedule form will appear. Fill out the form with your counseling information, including your availability label, your name, a copy of an existing schedule in the system, the location where counseling appointments will be held, the start date for your schedule, the end date, the length of appointments, your meeting start options being on the hour, half hour, every 45 minutes, etc. The types of counseling that you prefer to engage in, whether you allow walk-ins or not, and the days and times that you are available. You can also screen students by their major and class level to ensure that you counsel the students that fall under your designated majors. When you have completed, click Submit. Your new counseling schedule will appear under the Counseling Availability tab in the Active Schedules list. If you have an event that conflicts with your schedule, you can add the event to the system by clicking on Events and Conflicts. Under the Upcoming Entries, click on Add New. The new event conflict form will appear. Fill out the form with all necessary information, including the title, a description of your conflict, the date, whether it's a full day or only a period of time, the location, the type of conflict it is, and as a warning, personal, private, or internal staff events should never be marked as public to students. Marking an event as public automatically adds it to the calendars of all specified target groups, including syncing it to their personal Google calendars. Because of this, we suggest to only select private. Whether it can be viewable to students, staff, employers, or faculty, which staff to include on your conflict, and if you'd like to block out the time slot available to students. You can also select whether it is a reoccurring event by clicking on daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly based on its frequency. When you have completed, click Submit. Your upcoming events and conflicts can be viewed under the Upcoming Entries tab in the list below. Now that we understand how to set up a counseling schedule and events and conflicts to that schedule, let's see what a student views from their perspective. We can do this by clicking on Students and Alumni from the left-hand side of the screen. Click on the student view by clicking the student's last name and log in as. You will now see the student interface from their perspective. You can find counseling appointments by clicking on Calendar in the right-hand side of the screen and counseling appointments. When setting up appointments, students must request a new appointment online. They will also see their approved appointments that they have already scheduled on the right-hand side of the screen. They can choose to cancel or reschedule their approved appointments. Let's request a new appointment. When requesting a new appointment, students will be redirected to the counseling page, where they may select the type of appointment, the date range of their desired appointment, the time range, the length of appointment, the location of their appointment, the available counselors, and a brief overview, the days of the week, and refine results. The available appointments will appear on the right-hand side of the screen. Students may select an appointment by clicking on the counselor's name. The Confirm Appointment screen will appear, where students may review the information for their counseling appointment. They may also add additional notes for their review session. Once they have completed, they will submit the request for the counseling appointment. Now that we've seen what the student perspective is like for counseling appointments, let's move on to our second agenda item, which is how to add counseling notes and other quick notes to the student profile. Since we're still in the student view for this particular student, let's move to the Overview tab at the top of the screen. Below the student dashboard, we see a section called Notes. We can add a quick note in this section. These notes will be harbored under the Student Core Notes section. You can get there by clicking on Core and then Notes under the student profile. And your notes will appear in the text below. If you'd like to add notes about a specific counseling appointment, click on the Counseling tab at the top of the screen. Under Counseling section, you will see the different counseling appointments that the student has attended. Click on View or Edit to add notes about the student. You will see the appointment that took place, along with the Notes section at the bottom. In the counseling record, you can add additional notes to the student profile about your appointment. When you have completed, click Submit. You can also add follow-up actions to your counseling appointments. Click on the Follow-up Actions underneath the Counseling tab at the top of the screen, and click on Add New. In the Follow-up section, you will be able to remind yourself of actions that need to take place preceding your counseling appointments. To do this, select your name from the counselor's list, click on the action that you would like to happen, whether that be to email the student, to call the student, to set up another appointment, or to generate a meeting with the student. Click on the date you would like the reminder sent to your email, and the time if applicable. Also, add any comments you would like to enter into your email. When the follow-up action has been completed, click on Yes and Submit. Your follow-up actions will appear under the Follow-up Actions drop-down section of the Counseling tab. Now, let's take a look at our third item on the agenda today, which is how to use the Mock Interviews module. Since we're already in the student profile, you can navigate to the top of the screen and click on the Mock Interviews tab. The Mock Interviews tab will then bring up the interview page with a list of all of the possible interview questions. You can create your own specified interview by clicking on Add New, or simply edit one of the existing interviews by clicking on the Edit button. For this example, we will show how to add a new interview. The new mock interview screen will appear where you have the option of choosing the questions from an already existing interview. If you don't wish to use the exact same questions as an existing interview, you can select the specified questions that you desire for your interview on the next step. You will need to create a name for your interview. Also, you can specify which majors, degree level, and class level you would like to filter for your interviews. When you have selected the criteria desired, click on the Save and Continue button. The Interview Builder screen will appear where you can select interview questions from a variety of different fields. You can drill down on the different fields to find which questions apply to your interviews. Click on the Add button for any questions you would like to add to your specific interview. When you have completed your interview, click on the Save and Continue button. Your mock interview will now be built and housed under the mock interview possibilities for students to select. Let's now see what a student views when they go to take an interview. Navigate to a student profile and click on the Login As tab. Under the Resource tab, you will find mock interviews for students. Students will have the opportunity to search for interviews by their keywords or by simply scrolling through the desired interviews. When a student completes the interview, it will be housed under the My Mock Interviews tab. Under this tab, students can view their past attempts and feedback provided by counselors. To provide feedback to student mock interviews, click on the Mock Interviews tab located at the top of the student profile. Under the Mock Interviews tab, click on Interview Attempts. A list of attempted interviews will be generated and listed below. You can provide feedback on each of these interviews by clicking on the attempt date and timestamp. The recorded interviews will appear where you can replay the student's recording and provide your feedback, your answer rate in number of stars, and additional comments that you have to the student. When you are finished with the question, click Save and Continue. The interview feedback will appear in the student profile page when the student logs in to the system. Let's move on now to our fourth and final part of the training for today, which is the resume review and providing feedback to students. The resume review feature can be found under the Documents section in the Student Alumni tab. Under the Documents tab, you will find the student documents that have been uploaded to use for recruiting activity. You can click on a resume or simply click the Review button to review a resume for a student. You will be redirected to the student document where you can click on the hyperlink to review the resume, or in scrolling down to the bottom, you can provide feedback to the student on their resume. You can do this by selecting your name from the Reviewed By list, selecting the review status, and entering the comments and review that you have for the student. An email will be generated when you click the Submit button. If you wish to forego the email, click Suppress Email to Student and Submit. As a general review, today we have discussed how to set up a counseling schedule, how to add counseling notes to a student profile, how to use the mock interview module, and how to review resumes and provide feedback to students. We hope that you will join us for our next training meeting on BYU Bridge training tutorials. Thank you.